Just making sure. Hello and welcome to another episode of Unchained with me, Paul Gomez.
Dylan Moore.
You got to work on that. That delay is like kind of every time. It takes about 10 seconds.
Can I go check something?
Can you? Yeah, go check something. I'm talking. You can check something.
Talk.
Give it a minute. So before we start our show, which we got a great show for you, we got an amazing guest that we really want to talk to and get on here. But before that, I want to talk about our sponsor for just a quick split second, and that is Geek Out in Burleson, Texas. They are great comic book store, game store, just about all around everything. We got to sit down with them this past weekend and talk to them about what's coming up, and they have a second brick and mortar store which is going to be opening soon. We'll get those dates and location and everything to that, but they are probably one of the biggest comic stores in the Metroplex, probably the second biggest, if you will. But saying that, in a DFW area, that's pretty big. What do you think?
Yeah.
And there's some great people. If you're in the area in Burleson, make sure to drop by and check them out. They don't only host card games, but role-playing games. They have classes on learning D&D, and they were hosting a demo this past weekend when we got there with free items given away. Yeah. And they have a lot of great artists and guests that come in from time to time. So
just like us.
Make sure you check them out. And now, without any further ado, Our great guest this week is Tyler Carpenter. How's it going?
It's going good. Can you guys hear me?
Yes. All right. So I don't know if everyone knows who Tyler Carpenter is. I'm pretty sure most people do.
I don't. I doubt that.
But I mean, if they don't, let me tell you, he's got a great show called Draw and Talk. Whenever I was starting on my comic journey, before I even made my first book, I got to say, Tyler, your show was in the background, and I learned so much from it. I tell everybody there was 4 shows, and yours was definitely a big influence on my career. So
I appreciate that. I took all those shows down, so it's over. No one's learning from me.
Well, I mean, you're still a great, person in the community to talk to, and you love talking about marketing, which me personally, I still don't understand, and I know we don't exactly agree on viewpoints, but I'm trying to get there.
Well, you're good. I think we agree on. I think it's the terminology. It's just the words that we use that we don't agree on. But I think we're there.
Well, I mean, and it's good to, have different viewpoints on things, because you get the best of both worlds. Especially, nobody has to agree totally with someone else. Me and my son don't agree on a lot of stuff, but it's good.
Like my dad sucks all the time. I'm just way better than him. I mean, everyone else agrees with me, so I mean.
But it's good to get different viewpoints and learn from them, because if you didn't, then you would know everything. And I don't think I know everything. Not yet.
I know everything.
He knows everything.
Down to the last spelling of it.
But you have a lot of great books. And before I start talking about the topics, I want to talk about some of your books. I'm a big fan of chefs. Big fan of chefs. And I've got copies of 1 and 2 of Girl with the Mega Fist. My son was reading a Chef's just the other day.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't think I've read all your books. I know I've read Demons, Chefs, My Life as RPG, and Girl with the Mega Fist. Those are the ones I've read so far. But you have tons of great books out there.
Yeah, I mean, what's the funny thing about Chefs is it's like that popular. It's not like necessarily popular. I mean, I canceled it. I canceled the book. And so it's one of those books that people are like, I love it. When are you going to do more? And I'm like, never. Because it's like one of those books that, like, me as a creator, the readers love it and I hate it.
Right.
So yeah, it's a very interesting title.
Yes. Now you've had your most recent books are My Sexy Witch Academia, is that correct?
Yeah, My Sexy Witch Academia, Super Plumber Sisters, and then like right now we have on Kickstarter the next installment of The Girl with the Mega Fist.
Right. So that's awesome. You've got so many coals in the fire, if you will.
A lot. And then And then I think in October launching another book as well. So yeah, I think next year I'm doing around like 8 to 9 Kickstarters.
That's awesome. I mean, I mean, great. You know, I know a lot of artists kind of strive to have, you know, several books out just like you're doing. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's I mean, I'm not the one that draws all of them. There's a couple of them that I do draw. Like I draw the girl with the mega fist. I wasn't supposed to draw the Cthulhu murders, which is my next one in October. Something happened, and so I'm like, okay, I guess I'll take on the art duties as well. Since I'm doing this full time now, I have time to do another 60 pages. And so yeah, no, it's great. And what's great right now is that like you know, I'm good friends with the artists that do Super Plumber Sisters and My Sexy Witch Academia. You know, all of us are dads with sons, and it's great that like we can all make something together, and all of us can like support our families with these series, which is great.
Now, like I said, this is a topical show, so we're going to be touching on this topic and that topic. If I talk about anything that you don't want to talk about, just let me know, okay?
I'll just be like.
Yeah. But the first topic is kind of a generalized topic, you know, entertainment. There's the One Piece show that came on Netflix. Did you see it?
I've seen a little bit of it. I haven't like sat down and committed to watch it. I don't watch a lot of TV or movies, to be honest. But it is something that I do want to watch.
Well, I got to admit, I'm not exactly a big manga person myself, but with all the talk about it coming to Netflix, and you know, One Piece itself has a huge fanfare. I definitely wanted to give it a try, and this seemed like the right time to do it. So I sat down with my son, and we actually watched the first.
You enjoy
episode. It was interesting.
It's you know, it's one of those like I've read the manga and the anime of One Piece, and so it's like when they said they're going to adapt it, it's one of those things where it's like, wow, this is like such a goofy, like all the characters can do such weird things, and like they're drawn with such like elongated limbs. That's like, I wonder how they're going to adapt this. But no, it's you know, what's cool about it is that my grandparents are like, Tyler, like we watched this show called One Piece. It's a pirate show, and you know they have no idea that it was in a manga or an anime. Right? I mean, they don't even know the cultural significance. Not a lot of people, I think, know the cultural significance of One Piece. I mean, One Piece has outsold Batman in terms of copies. Right. Like one guy's creation has outsold, you know, a mega corporation 70 years of publishing Batman. This one guy has sold more copies than this.
And I've heard so much about it. I've heard people talk. I've heard you talk about it, and I've always wanted to check it out. Of course, being at conventions, you hear a lot of fanfare about it. So whenever they came out with the show, you know, I wanted to check it out. But also there were headlines that were being made other than just the show. If you would put that up there on the screen. I don't know if you know about this, but they were actually offering a few of the volumes for free.
Oh, there you go.
So you could see, you know, the manga itself and the show. So that's kind of a great thing for them to do. You know, you don't really see Marvel or DC doing this where they're promoting the comic books with the movies.
No.
But here, manga is doing it right.
I mean, yeah. I mean, one of the smartest things like marketing that I remember just like experiencing was as a kid going to see the Pokemon first movie that came out when I was like 9, and when you got there they handed you a Pokemon card,
right?
And that was like my first time ever getting a Pokemon card, which then led me to getting more Pokemon cards, and then more and more Pokemon cards, and then buying the games. And so it's like, wow, this one like experience of media got me into this fandom of Pokemon, buying the card games and buying, you know, the video games. So it's crazy to me that like I should have walked into Endgame and they handed me like a floppy comic book, or at least like a postcard that says, hey, go to your local comic book store, 20% off this next graphic novel. I mean, just the foot traffic alone in those movie theaters, like they could have easily, like it's like 10 cents to print,
or even a QR code. Hey, here's a free movie, comic because you're watching the movie.
Yeah,
they give them so much without any cost to
correct.
You know, movie theaters or to them themselves. and they could have brought more traffic to those LCSs, but they didn't really do that much. And here manga is, offering 12 volumes of that, just
that's a
because
lot, and that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of
That's
is
a lot of
of
reading.
pages, a lot of chat. Yeah, that's a lot of reading. And so the fact that, I mean, One Piece is like, bajillion-dollar IP. It's IP. They're just like, yeah, sure. Read these 12. They're that confident that if you read those 12 volumes, you're gonna want to read the rest. And so I just feel like maybe Marvel and DC just aren't as confident with their current properties.
I think they're just trying to make that dollar. That's what I think it is. I mean, I could be wrong, but I got to admit, like I said, we watched the show, and then I went back watched the anime, and then I seen this. I saw that they were free. I was like, hey, why not check out some of what they had? And I got to experience all three of them, for the first time this past week, and I thought it was. Even though, like I said, manga wasn't exactly my favorite, I've liked a few mangas. Of course, your mangas are great, but I'm not a big manga fan, and it wasn't exactly my style. That's not going to be for everybody. But I thought it was good at seeing each stage, and I felt it did justice to each one. At least I thought it did.
Hey, that's awesome. I will say, like, the One Piece fandom is very because they've just been around for so long. This book has been around for like over 20 years, and so the fandom is so welcoming of new people. Like, there was a time when I got into the series. I was like, hey, I'm starting volume 1. I went to like the One Piece fan community on Reddit, and I was like, hey, I'm starting volume 1. Like, how do I get to volume 100? Because that's what it was at the time.
Right.
And they're like, people are giving me tips. This is how you read it. It's, you should take a break here, get in right here. And then they always every person's comment ended with, and then I'll see you at Wano. And I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what that I meant. And I got there, and that was like it's a big, massive battle arc. And everyone was just like, we'll see you at Wano. And it's such a really amazing fan community of like, hey, we'll see you. We'll see you together over here. Like, we're over here right now in Wano. Come, like, work hard, get over to where we are. We accept you. And right now in like the Marvel and DC comics communities, they're like, hey, fuck you for like Batman, and like the way that you feel about Batman and Superman and like Batgirl. Like right now, the Gotham War is going on right now, and people are fighting between like Batman and Selina's like different ideologies.
How's it gonna happen? And
exactly.
The weirdest thing I think about DC and Marvel is like you don't really have those jump off points like manga seems to have, where you can just jump in and kind of get into the story without having to start at the beginning if you don't want to. But with like Gotham Wars, it's like a big chaotic mess. And where would you tell somebody?
Read Gotham Wars, but then you have to also read Batman, and then you have to go read the Catwoman thing. And if you want to get like the various Robin and Nightwing's perspective, you have to go over there to read their books. So you don't get like
titles.
Yeah, so then exactly. So you don't get like the full experience of the Gotham War. Whereas in One Piece, I mean, I think the Arlong arc in One Piece was 7 years.
Yeah.
I think the fans were in this were in one arc of a story for 7 years, because it was like, all right, what's this character doing? What's this character doing? All right, what are they all doing? Oh, what's this? They like with manga, like they really take the time to flesh out the stories. Now, like, keep in mind, manga is serialized, and so like if the story sucks every week, they're gonna cancel the book. So,
I love Batman. I love Batman. Nightwing's probably one of my favorite characters. But the truth of the matter is like we were saying, it's just so chaotic, and it's like you don't know where to jump in and where you could take a break at it, and you don't really have like legacy numbers. I mean, why do you need legacy numbers? Why? Because you're restarting all the time.
Ooh, that is why. I mean, that's why Detective Comics number 5, but legacy number 900. I mean, I wish they would just keep it with the legacy numbers, because then at least I know. I mean, there's the joke, like, where do you start at Batman? Do you start at Batman year 1? Do you start at Batman number 1? Do you start at Batman number 1, the New 52? Batman number 1 Rebirth? Is it Batman 0 year, which takes place in the New 52, but it's issue 20? Like, it's all very confusing for the new reader, and I will say, like, like with manga, it is very easy, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to, to however how long the series is. With comics, they do maybe expect the reader to do a little homework, I guess.
Now talking about all that chaotic mess and switching to that in this next topic, I don't know if you've read any of the DC. They're doing the Night Terror stuff, or they just ended the Night Terror stuff. Have you read any of that?
No, I'll be honest. The last Batman the last mainstream comic I read and bought was the Joker War.
Right.
And I chucked that across. I got to the end. I chucked the book, the floppy, across my room.
Oh, there's a reason that I bring this up, and the reason is, and I'm not going to try. I'm trying not to spoil things for people who are interested in it, but there's a death of a major character at the end, and after that death, like right after it, one of the other major characters is like, "Oh, he's dead, but he'll be back anyway."
Oh,
so does that impact really have a death of a major character have an impact whenever?
No.
You have Batman standing right there going, "Oh, he's dead for now, but he'll be back in about a year or so."
No, in comics, comics deaths don't mean anything. I think Eric Larson said the death of comic books was not the death of Superman, but the resurrection of Superman, because it just basically told the world that like we're never going to get rid of these superheroes. I mean, when Scott Snyder killed Batman in his New 52 run, he was told you can kill Batman, but you have to bring him back a year later. And so he kills Batman, and literally like 2 issues later, you see Bruce Wayne, and he's not Batman, his memory's gone, but he's Bruce Wayne. And so you're like, oh, like he's not dead. And so yeah, they never can.
How much of an impact? I mean, I know Miss Marvel just died, and everybody was saying that was going to be a big thing before they realized who it was. And then whenever they're like, oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah, it's Miss Marvel. I mean, no one cares about her.
And now, like I was saying, at the end of Night Terrors, he had this major character die, but Batman was literally standing over him going, oh, he'll be back.
Which, by the way, like with the Ms. Marvel thing, like how stupid of an editorial team can you be right now, killing Ms. Marvel with a month, like I think a month later before the Marvel movie. So it's like they can't even go and read a current day Ms. Marvel book because the character is technically dead. And so it's like there's no synergy between the comics, the media,
right.
And it's just very foolish. I mean, during the MCU, the very start of it, I mean, you couldn't even read an Iron Man comic because it was Riri Williams. Captain America was Sam Wilson. Thor was Jane Foster, and like none of there was no connection between both the comics and the movies at the time. And
I think that's where they're missing out, because they really should be hitting on all pistons, utilizing every one of the aspects, as opposed to saying, the movies are just this, comics are something else. Whenever they were saying they were going to kill Miss Marvel, originally they were kind of rumoring it to be not Peter Parker, Mary Jane. And then they switched it to say Miss Marvel, and I was hoping that they were doing it as a publicity stunt, saying, hey, we're going to kill her, but then we're going to bring her back right before Miss Marvel.
Oh, no.
That's what I thought. That's what I was hoping.
It would be smart if they don't want to like have synergy with the current day comics. At least like make like they used to have like the Ultimate line. Just do like an MCU line of comics. And so like I know in between Captain America 2 and 3, there is like Age of Ultron and Captain America Civil War. There's a new Avengers team. Like it's Captain America, Scarlet Witch, Sam and Falcon. And so it's like we only get to see them together as the Avengers for like a hot second. So maybe do a couple books like as comic books that show like see in the movies, and then it's like just extra stories for the MCU, stories that people care about, normal people care about, and they can say, hey, you want to see more of this kind of side story, you can go read it in the comic, in this special universe that's just for the MCU.
And I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but I think they did that with Batman whenever it came out in '89. Had the movie graphic.
Oh yeah, there's the bat. Yeah, I mean, there's that. Yeah, there's the bat. I mean, they still do it. It's still running the Batman '89 universe. Yeah.
So I mean, why couldn't they do it? They can. They just choose not to, which is crazy to me. I mean, I don't know. That is their property. They can do what they want.
Can do whatever they want. Yeah, they can do whatever they want.
So what's been going on with you? I mean, how you been?
Dude, I stressed. Being doing this full time is not fun.
Yeah.
It because it's not just now the drawing and the writing. You have to go, okay, I need like more money. So like, what do I do with all this extra free time? I try to figure out ways to make more money. Then you have like all the taxes and stuff and the business stuff. Just trying to get health care for myself and my kids is like, there's like 20 different health departments that you have to talk to get through. And I'm like, you guys are all so useless. I can't believe my tax money is paying all this. But yeah, so like, it's one of those things like I'm saying it sucks. I very much enjoy it.
Oh, yeah, me both.
I do apply for jobs every now and then just for funsies. I'm right now I'm kind of like in this living the comics dream, but I'm also like, if I feel like I need to get a job, I'm not gonna be like, oh, like I failed, I wasn't able to do comics full time. It's just I just like the stability of having a day job. But right now I'm just drawing, dude. I'm just drawing my butt off.
And I tell everyone about my journey. It was a hard kind of journey for me to get used to. Originally, whenever I started, it was I had lost my job because of the pandemic. Kids were stuck at home, and we were doing something just to keep the morale up. And that's the only reason that we started doing our comics. I couldn't exactly get back into my old job, which was warehouse and kind of manual labor, because my health kind of declined and my kids' health declined. So it was kind of, hard to get into that mindset of, hey, I don't have that check every week, and I've got to go, hustle.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that I like miss the most is just having that check every 2 weeks. I do miss that. I mean, right now, really my income is just predicated on like, can I keep putting out a new Kickstarter?
Right.
And then can it do well?
Well, see, the Kickstarter on my end wasn't that good. Like, none of my Kickstarters did great. They all funded to about 1,000 or so, 1,005. But I really found the success in the conventions and the LCSs.
Nice.
I mean, that's really, really where we found the success on our books. So it was kind of one of those things. It was like, I hit the Kickstarter. I was hoping for a little bit better of an outcome. But whenever it didn't come out, it was like, I'm going to go hit every LCS. And then I'm going to figure out how the convention stuff goes. Because that was a big thing that we had learned. That was some totally different world.
Yeah, I mean, just like to learn how to sell in person. Like, I don't do conventions anymore just because I don't want to. And I'm right now just trying to get into my local scene. Most of my local scene don't like me, so I'm just trying to. I don't know why, but
it's hard. It's hard.
I mean, because you have like I'm the youngest one out of all of them. A lot of them are like old guys who have been doing comics for a long time, but they've had like I'm just gonna say no success, but like they've just been in the community long enough. They're like, so and so makes a comic. And they're always the guy. And then I remember I like at my school, there was a group of kids. They were all doing art and comic books, and they were all art majors. And they didn't like me because I had an art scholarship for drawing cartoons in the newspaper. And I was like, I make comics too. And they go, yeah, but you're not an art major. I'm like, okay, well, like, screw you guys too. And so like, and like 5 or 6 years later, I'm like the only one who's making comics like on a regular basis, and they all are the ones who go to the conventions and whatnot. They're still trying to sell the exact same book I saw them make 5 or 6 years ago. And anytime I'm like, hey, I made a new book. Hey, I have a new book. Look at this. Like I just get completely rejected. And so that's why I've focused so much on the online stuff. I'm glad that you found success in other ways. I tell people, some products sell better in Target than they do Walmart and vice versa. And so with Kickstarter, Kickstarter's a different market than in person, than the local comic book store. Like, not everything is going to sell on Kickstarter, just like not everything is going to sell in Target, but it might sell in Walmart.
Yeah. And that's what I tell new creators too that come ask me for advice. I'm like, look, these are the different venues that you got. We don't have that many comic fans out there in general altogether, if you took kind of a sense of everybody, I think it would be 1 out of 100 people might collect comics. So it's like, don't make that customer base even smaller by not going to LCSs, not going to conventions, or not going to Kickstarters, and then find where your niche is and then hit that as hard as you can. I think I don't think we're that good on Kickstarter, but it doesn't mean I'm going to stop trying. I just need to find
I wouldn't
out.
say you guys aren't that good. Keep in mind the average area is 1,000 to 9,000. Like that's where 90% of people are gonna live, is in the 1,000 to 9,000 area. So like I always tell people, like if you just are in that area, like you're average, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I think like 30 to 40% of projects don't fund. So the fact that you are funding, so you're in that top 60% of funded, and then you're in the average area of comics. I mean, there's nothing. I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're making the money back, I feel like you're ahead of the game, because you see so many creators taking losses. So it's like, as long as you're doing what you want to do.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think a big problem as well, and like I sometimes will like say that maybe like it's my fault as well. I've got people messaging me saying, how come there's no chat on the YouTube?
We're still getting used to that. It's on the YouTube. I got one person
on YouTube and Facebook, but the Twitter's not working right now. We're still trying to figure out.
No, your guys' YouTube chat isn't working.
It ain't?
No. It says it's disabled. I think you can go into the edit. You can go in the editing area and change that.
I thought you were part of that. I was on the count. You're the.
You guys are good. You guys are good. You guys are good.
But yeah, talking about creators not exactly wanting you in. Sometimes we've kind of hit a lot of that, and it's kind of weird, because at first it's like open arms, and this is a community that does help each other out, but there are times where they kind of keep you at arm's length as well. Would you say that's a wrong statement?
I think it really depends. I think so. Like, no one likes to say it or not. My friend Larry brings this up a lot. Is that like everyone's in competition with each other and no one wants to say it. And so there is this idea of I want to help each other. And then there's this, okay, like I don't really want to help you though, because you're getting a little too big. So you can go like deal with it yourself. I think creators are just a bunch of whiner babies, honestly. They're just a bunch of softies. I mean, one of the biggest problems that like I see is that like creators are just so like into their feelings and need to be coddled, that like a lot of creators like act like they want to do this as a business, but they have the emotional fortitude of someone who can only do this as a hobby. And I think for me, I've always been very business minded, and so that's my persona that I put online, is like I'm not tweeting or saying things out for like the hobbyists. I'm like, hey, if you're a creator and you want to make money, let's talk about A, B, C, and D. And some of it's not very like fun to talk about. I mean, I got blasted this week because I did what I think was a very lukewarm take. I said the reason why most comics don't sell well or get is because they're generic, and they're generic, and they're the equivalent of a gas station Bruce Willis DVD. Right. And a lot of creators, I mean, I got called a Nazi, a bigot. I mean, people were just so upset about it. Like, don't you fucking say that about my comic, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, and here's the thing. Like, I'm looking at my stack of comics right now. I did a 15-issue series called Demons. It's 370 pages. That thing is generic as fuck. There is nothing like this is me. I've poured thousands of dollars into this book. There is nothing special about that story. It is a very generic, supernatural, Constantine-looking guy solves supernatural crime. Demons are coming. Got to stop. It's something that it's like your cookie cutter. You would see this on like TV, a movie, or another comic book that's probably better than mine. And so I had to look at my series Demons, which could only get max 50 backers, and go, okay, like why didn't that hit? Oh, it was generic. It was generic as fuck. Okay, what's my next one? I did a sci-fi. Guess what? it was generic as fuck. But at least like it had some like pizzazz on it. So I got like 100 backers. Created Chefs, that one did really well. Then I freaking like canceled that. Then I come out with The Girl with the Mega Fist, and it's like just a very different take on like the superhero. It's a superhero story disguised as a romance drama.
So I've got to admit, again, I'm a big fan of Chefs. That's probably my favorite one of your books. Demons is actually probably my second favorite.
And it's generic, man. It sucks.
I love it. I mean, don't get me wrong. So, okay, whenever I first got into the industry, I was the type of person that I wanted to go do my homework. I wanted to study how to make a story. I wanted to study how to make a comic, how to make a comic script. So I went and found the editor that was going to be the hardest type person on me. I went through about 100 editors that were like, oh yeah, we can do this. It's not going to be a problem. It's going to be easy. And I was like, no, I don't want you. I want somebody who's going to tell me how it is and make me cry if my story's bad. Mm-hmm. So I found that, and the first lesson that he gave me was the thing that I tell everybody. Your comic's not going to be for everybody.
Yeah.
You need to understand that just because you write this great idea that you have doesn't mean the world's going to like it. If you believe in it, you follow your heart. But if you're trying to make something for, the world, then look what's selling and kind of follow that cookie cutter kind of thing. But the main thing, like I said, is, he told me, he's like, not every comic's going to be for everybody anyway. And that was a hard pill to swallow. And I think that's a pill that most creators don't want to take.
No.
Because most creators have these ideas that are great ideas. And then you start asking them, well, what is your goal? Do you want to get published? Because if you're going to get published, the cookie cutter is a 22-page book with this kind of art, with this kind of color, or with this. These are what publishers usually look for. And if you're not trying to get published, then what's your goal? Is it just going to be to do whatever you want and try to find your audience kind of thing in that direction? Or what? And a lot of people are kind of aimless out there. They don't know what they want and what they're looking for. They just want to be successful off the bat without having a plan.
Yeah. You need to know your market. I mean, so like my friend Travis Gibb, like me and him, we have just completely different paths that we want to go to. And like, he's very much like he's putting out comic books, one, because he wants to tell the stories that he wants to tell, but he's building a resume so that he can like go look at Marvel and DC and go, look, these are my books. I know how to write this. I know how to write this. I know how to manage this many books, blah, blah, blah. Like, hire me. Whereas me, I'm like, okay, I'm trying to do everything online. I don't need I don't need a publisher. I want to do it myself. Kickstarter is currently like the platform for me right now. So, okay, how do I play with that Kickstarter algorithm? How do I make books that are going to get the attention online? So our goals are very different, but we're still making comics. And, he has his North Star. I have my North Star, and every creator needs to have their North Star.
I think I follow kind of Travis's kind of area as well. I don't exactly want to get into Marvel and DC, but I want to get it published because I feel that's going to help me get into more cons as guests. But the way you're doing it is a great formula as well. Me personally, I don't think it fits me. But would it be fair to say that you're a content creator as well as that comic creator kind of combined?
Oh yeah. I mean, absolutely. I always say that everything that I do always points to the goal of making comics. And so if I make videos, the reason why I make videos is to get people to get to my comics. If I'm trying to help other creators, it's so that I can like get them in my ecosystem. So then I can make either I can make money helping other creators, I can make money off commissions, but then that money can sustain me making more comics. Maybe that money provides for my family. Maybe, I did a pinup for someone like this year, and that money went to buying a cover for my comic. And so everything I do as a content creator is there to point to get me so that I can make comics, because that's what I want to do no matter what, is just make comics. However, I also understand that if I want to, get people to read my comics, they need to know about my comics, they need to know who I am, and that's where the content creation comes in.
So, one of those kind of advices that I got early on, which I really ignored at the time, was I had a friend who came up to me and was like, how does it feel to be in the entertainment industry? And me being a brand new creator at that time, I was like, I'm not in the entertainment. I'm just writing a book. I'm writing a story that's going to be out there and sold. I'm not. But I found, as time went on, you have to sell yourself just as much as you have to sell your book. And a lot of creators, especially artists, don't really want to be out there in front of the camera or talking to the people that much.
Yeah, I mean, you either have to. I mean, your property either has to be like that good, or or you have to really sell yourself. I think for me, I've really gone like the sell it myself route, only because like that's what I can be in charge of the most. But then like I have friends like Tim Lim and Mark Pellegrini. They do the Common America books, and those do like, I think the last one did like 130,000 on Kickstarter. And so they don't do live shows, they don't do YouTube, they don't on TikTok. They're very much, their work sells. It's their work sells itself. And it's not their persona, it's not what they're talking about. Like they only talk about their property. And then, I mean, I'll give you their business strategy. What they do is they hire like a shit ton of artists to do commissions. And so you're seeing a new piece of artwork on Common America every single week. Yeah. So like you are, I mean, it's not even a secret, but like you're inundated every single day with Common America to be like, okay, what the fuck is this? Let me see what the hype is all about. And then their readers are basically a cult at this point, like a very good cult. Yeah. I mean, one of their readers posted today their bedroom, and it's like the walls are covered entirely with like Common America posters. They have a bookshelf for all the books, the statues, the action figures, the plushies, and the trading cards. And you can see my book in there too. But yeah, I mean, yeah. So yeah, I agree. You either have to sell it yourself, or you have to hope that your book is good enough that it can sell itself. I mean, if the Girl with the Mega Fist was doing like 100K every single freaking time I put it out, like I'd probably be like, maybe like, do I need to do the YouTube? Do I need to put in like, I put in like 6 hours of editing today. Do I really need to do that? No. But because it's not, I need to be the one who's constantly putting myself out there.
Right. And I definitely agree with that. I guess one of the main things is whenever it comes to be blacklisted or bullied or stuff like that, I found it odd how many people there are that find it okay to do this to other creators. Like, one of the things is I started drawing. I started my journey trying to learn how to draw, and I had a lot of the artists kind of backlash me, saying I shouldn't be selling my art or giving it away because I'm not an artist. Oh, this was one of a big thing that happened recently, and I had about three huge artists in the industry kind of basically say you should never have any of your art at your table.
Name them.
No.
I'll name them.
No. And honestly, I think I've gotten decently better, because originally I couldn't draw a blob.
Yeah, fuck those guys. Let me tell you something. I only draw my books because when I got into comics, I wanted to just write. And when I found out how much it was going to fucking cost to make a book, I was like, okay, I can't do this. Like, no offense. I wanted to work with some amazing artists. I couldn't fucking afford it. And so I was like, I'm still going to make comics, so let me start drawing. And so I drew every single day for the last 10 years, and only up until like a year and a half ago was I comfortable. Like, Chefs was the very first comic that I was like, hey guys, this is my art, like this is my, and even then I look back on it, I'm like, ugh. And then I canceled it because I hated it. No, but so technically, like, really, I've been doing this for 10 years, and the Girl with the Mega Fist, which came out last year, is the book that has like my name as a writer and artist. Normally it was like Tyler's the writer, Travis Martinez did T-Mins, Tyler's the writer, Joe Wong did Entity, and so the girl with the megafist was just Tyler, and it's because I spent 10 years drawing. And God, if I heard someone say like, "Oh, your art shit," like don't do that. Like I get people telling me now, "Hey, Tyler, your art is shit," and I go, "Yeah." Take this out, and I have a screenshot on my phone of like my first like page of comics I made,
Right.
and I go, this is where I was at 10 years ago. So nothing you say to me right now isn't anything that I haven't said to myself along this 10-year journey.
It was about 10 months ago.
Yeah.
We were at a convention, and my son, he was getting comfortable with the other artists and going to their table and watching them draw and stuff like that. And the artists were giving him tips, and he was saying he wanted to learn to draw, but he didn't want anybody to teach him but me. And I couldn't draw my name. I couldn't draw, a line, even a wavy line. I couldn't draw anything. So I went on YouTube and I started every day learning stuff and taking tips from the artists that we knew. And now I'm not going to say I'm great, because I'm definitely not. I'm not going to fire my interior teams or my teams on my book. But, I put that goal that I wanted to be good enough to draw
your own book
at the table.
Oh, fair. Dude, I'll give you a tip. My best art tip is to freaking trace.
Yeah.
Trace.
Well, and I've had a lot of people tell me that, and I'm like, I want to be able to do it freehand. So I've been
No. It's like, so you trace as practice.
Right.
And so like by the time, so then like you've done it enough that when you do it at a convention, you could do it freehand, but it's like muscle memory.
Yeah. And I feel like I've gotten to that point.
There you go.
And I've been posting it on Facebook. I post it every once a week or so. Here's my progress. Here's my progress. Here's my progress. And at one point, somebody actually bought one of my sketches. They insisted on paying for it. So I went on Facebook and said, how much should I sell them for? $1.
That's when people were like, you don't deserve money.
You don't. Yeah. And I'm like,
creators, one thing that like creators hate more than anything is finding out that someone's making money. What?
$2? $2?
It doesn't matter. No, like seriously. So creators, like, and this is like, I mean, I fucking hate creators. I don't talk with a lot of creators. I don't hang out with a lot of creators. If you're listening to this now,
we love you too.
I probably fucking hate you guys. Most creators fucking suck, and this is why they don't like the idea that someone's making money off their stuff when they're not making money off of their own stuff. I mean, I said I would, I've been doing marketing for the last 10 years, and I'm very successful at it, working at various companies doing it. And so I put out like, hey, like if anyone wants like a marketing one-on-one, like with me, I'll do this, blah, blah. Like, I mean, yeah, you did it, Paul. You and I did one of those. And so I put this on Twitter, and someone's like, who the fuck do you think you are making money off creators? And I'm just like giving out. If you want to pay for it, you can. If not, you don't have to. And a lot of creators just get angry.
He didn't tell me to say this or pay me to say this, but the one-on-one we had was well worth every penny that, I mean, whenever you were laying out that page and showing me.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I'm telling you, like every minute that we talked was worth every penny that I paid for that.
I appreciate that.
Really
I just think creators, they just hate the idea of someone making money. I mean, I've spent thousands of dollars on one-on-one calls with like various like marketing people, product people. I don't
understand that. I don't understand that, and I think that's because I've tried to reach out to other creators. Hey, let me help you. Let me sell some of your stuff for you, and give you the profit kind of thing. I've been that person that been, I go to 30, 40 bookstores selling my stuff. Why don't you give me one or two of your books? I'll sell them and then just forward you the money. But a lot of the creators don't want help. They want to do it themselves.
Fuck them. That's fine. Don't help them. I'm serious. I'm like, I have like had so much peace in the last 2 years when I decided to just be like, you know what, fuck them. Like every problem that I've had in the last 2 years, had something to do with the creator. It was never a reader. It was never a fan of my art or my stories. It's always been another creator had a problem with me and decided, let's duke it out. And because I enjoy it, I'm like, let's duke it out. I love this. If I could get some of those people that I fight with online to do a live show, I would love it. But yeah, I just think creators are their own worst enemies.
Yeah.
And they just want to be coddled. And someone said, Tyler, your advice is good, but you say it in a way that's mean. And I'm like, okay, but was the advice good? And they're like, oh yeah, absolutely. I'm like, sweet. Then like, shut the fuck up about your feelings. Cause I don't care about your feelings. And quite frankly, the world doesn't care about your feelings.
So you did get blacklisted recently, and this was
which
something
time?
That was big.
Which time? Because it's been like 3 times this year.
Well, I don't usually like talking about things specifically, but I mean,
good. You know, you can say, is it the one I lost my publishing deal?
Yes.
Yeah, that hurt.
Now, and you know, I seen all that, and I think I talked to, I don't remember if it was Travis. I talked to somebody, and I was like, man, it wasn't that he said anything bad. It was just the way he said it, and people took it wrong.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Everyone's saying #comics broke me, and I'm like, well, it didn't break me, so one of us is doing something right, one of us is doing wrong. Yeah, it's what's sad. I understand, like, having all the creators gang up on me, like, that's one thing, and that didn't really ruin my day. I actually enjoyed it. What kind of sucked was when I went on we were supposed to do a Kickstarter for the book Coins of Judas.
Yeah.
And then I got a notification that I'd been taken off the Kickstarter collab, and I was like, wait, oh shit. Call up Travis. I'm like, Travis, is this what's happening? Just tell me. And he's like, I think you're gonna get a phone call. And you know, I got that phone call, and I was like, okay, I get it. Like I kind of told them that, like, hey, this is all gonna blow over. No one's gonna give a shit in like 2 weeks, and everyone forgot 2 weeks later. But I think what stuck for me is, like, I lost a paying gig that they were paying me per issue, so I lost a paying gig, so that sucked. I was able to save the book because Travis and the rest of the team are still making the book, so I was able to be like, hey, just like, here's my rights, blah blah. I think what also sucked was the fact that the publisher caved in to a mob. We were their number one selling book. Like, keep in mind, our book sold like, I think 3,000 copies, and the next book below us maybe sold like a couple thousand, but then the third place book was like maybe 100. And so the people who are complaining at the company, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I have the same publishing deal as this guy, like, blah blah. It's like, bitch, shut up. Like, you only have 50 sales on your book. So like, and I'm just shocked. Like, I mean, the publishing company's still going. I've got no like hard feelings on them. The day that they say that, like, that they go under, you know, I'll be making my celebratory tweet. But you know, I've got no really hard feelings.
All that mail needs to go to #Tyler Carpenter.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be #comics.
Okay, so I don't know if you know this or not, but one of my books actually had to get stopped while it was being made because of the title. And I had a cease and desist order. I'm sorry?
What was it called?
The first name and second name.
The second name and the one we landed on was Cryptic Haze. But
what was the first one?
the first name had a cease and desist order on it from a big company.
Which company? Paul.
Because #Tyler Carpenter. So because they sent me the cease and desist order, I had just about everybody around me saying, hey, if you go ahead with it with that original name, we're not going to know you. We're not going to help you. We're not going to be there for you. We're not going to, you know, make sure you don't ever mention our name around your books again. And, you know, I find it overwhelmingly because thankfully there was Pops Van Zandt really helped me out at that point. He gave me a lot of advice and helped me through that time because I was a brand new creator. I didn't know what I was doing. And
was this a big company? It was a big company?
Yeah.
Like if you said it, would I know
Top
them?
5. Yeah.
Top 5.
Yes. Top 5, top 10, but definitely
We didn't know that they had the same name.
we didn't know the same.
A
You know, I had
friend
done the
came to
Google.
us.
I had done the Google search beforehand,
Not a
and I
good
didn't
one.
find it. And I guess the reason I didn't find it was because it was 2 names on theirs and 1 name on ours.
Fair.
Anyway.
Fair. So it was either Marvel, DC, Image, Dark Horse, Boom, Oni, Top Cow. I'm gonna hit one of them.
I'm gonna stop shaking my head now.
I was waiting for an eyebrow. I was waiting for an eyebrow to go, and then I'd be like,
I'll tell you what. After the show.
"Yeah, you let me know." That's funny. That's a shame.
But having said that, you know, between the cease and desist order from this company and the way everybody reacted, and the way people reacted whenever I started doing my I guess it's art. I guess I can call it art now, but before it really wasn't art. It was scribbling.
I mean,
Well, Paul, I think like maybe, you know, I've been around the block. I've been canceled so many times. I mean, I've been kicked out of almost every comic book group. Bunch of sissies. Is just it's if you get canceled, it's okay. How do I use this? I mean, this was just coincidence, but
Right.
the day after I lost my publishing deal, I launched Super Plumber Sisters. It was supposed to launch that day, but it just so happened all this shit was happening, and then I was like, I mean, Travis called me the night before. He's like, "Are you still launching your book tomorrow?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Are you going to use you losing your publishing deal to launch it?" And I'm like, "Absolutely." And it's like, okay, how do you use this cancellation? Like I say, how to use this cancellation for content. I mean,
Right.
I lost my publishing deal, so now I'm launching a book, and people are like, "That's not fair," blah blah. So like, if I was you, I'd be like, I'd get on my freaking camera and go, "I just got a cease and desist letter from Dark Horse, and this property, and they're making me change my name, and this is why." And boom, there's content right there. And
yeah, I had a few people advise me to do that, but then again, I had a few people saying, "If you're gonna do that, don't ever talk to us again."
So that's why it's like important for you as a creator to know your North Star, because if you ever have any desire to work for that company, it's an immediate no. I mean, I have been told,
and that's one of the things. So like I said, my goal at the moment is to get published. Yeah. And I'm not trying to be Marvel, DC. I'm not even trying to get top 5 or 10.
But you still need to know. But you still need to play the game and be nice to people. Whereas I've been told, by creators,
I don't want to say that name.
Yeah,
because I'm still probably gonna, submit to them my book.
No, for sure. I mean, I've been told by some creators like, "Hey, Tyler, this Marvel artist says that you suck and you're never gonna work for Marvel," and I'm like, "Oh," and someone's like, "Hey, Tyler, that DC writer saw your video about how they think you suck, and they said you're never going to work for DC." I'm like, "Oh, well, tell them they suck. I still think they suck." Like, so like I have to be okay with like I'll never probably work for DC or Marvel or any of these companies. And so to me, to be like, yeah, Leanna Kangas hates me because I redrew her cover art because I think she did it in like 5 minutes and it was shit. I'll say that. Leanna Kangas, do better. You're good. You're a good artist. You should have spent more money. Leanna Kangas, you're a fantastic artist. You should have spent more than 5 minutes on that cover. I know you can draw better. I've seen it.
Okay, so I'm trying to keep these videos to about an hour because I want to do some Patreon stuff later on after an hour kind of thing. But I do want to get to 2 quick things.
Let's do it,
if you don't mind. The first thing I really want to talk about is of the 2 is depression.
I don't know what that is.
I've only been in the business about 2 years, but let me tell you, a lot of the creators deal with depression, and I know I've dealt with it throughout these past 2 years, and it's a hard thing to deal with. It's a hard thing to talk about, but I mean, whenever you're creating your comics or creating content, a lot of people shy away from it. You've openly talked about stuff, especially like chefs and how you were feeling at the time that happened. Do you feel that other people should open up about that kind of stuff while they're creating?
I think it depends. So for example, I'll say it on here. I think I might have said this publicly before. So like during when I got canceled at Band of Bards thing, if you had just looked at my online profile, you would think, oh, Tyler's at a 9 out of 10 because he's just bulletproof. He's just eating this up. He's having a silly goose time. But I had some friends call me, message me, hey, how are you doing? And I'm like, dude, it looks like I'm at 10 and 10 out of 10 right now. I'm a 3 out of 10 crying in my car. Like this fucking sucks. Like I'm now a little bit, I'm still like a little hurt about the whole Coins of Judas thing. But like I will say, like, I was very upset and mad and like, I was angry and mad for like a good 2-3 weeks. And then I was depressed about it. With Chefs was depression because I just didn't have that North Star. I was just like, I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing with comics right now. And I'm unhappy about what I'm making. So should creators, I think this is how I think about it, and maybe this is fucked up. I think if you're gonna share something as personal like that online as a creator, you gotta find a way to put that in the business somehow. I guess, because if you're just depressed to be depressed, at some point it just gets like, okay, shut up, whiny baby. And so I think there needs to be a story with it. I mean, with the story of Chefs is Tyler canceled his book that everyone loved. Why did he do it? Oh, he was depressed. He didn't like his story, and he stopped drawing for 3 months. And then all of a sudden he comes back with the girl with the mega fist. And like, that's the twist. But if you're like every single day, I'm depressed, I'm sad, I'm depressed, right, eventually there's no story. The story is you're just sad. And at that point, it's almost a turn off. And so should you share it? I think you should share it as long as you're able to, one, actively get yourself out of it. I think a lot of people like to be depression whores. And like, I like they like to swim in the pools of depression. And for me, I'm depressed. I give myself probably a week. Like, if I know I'm depressed, I go, okay, I'm depressed. I get it. I'm going to go a week of doing nothing. I'm going to play some video games. I'm going to try to kill some kids online with some shooting games. And I'm going to tell them to delete their accounts. And I'm going to be toxic as fuck on that microphone. And then I'm going to start taking the baby steps to get myself out of that depression. And I think a lot of people, they don't know how to get themselves out of it.
I've got to say that I wanted to reach out and, kind of say I was there for you whenever your stuff was going on.
But you didn't!
I didn't. I admit I didn't. I was.
No, you're good. You're good.
I had a kid that went to the hospital. I went to the hospital for a week, bed
good.
rest for 2 weeks. And then my ex had passed away. And it was like all this stuff was happening around that same time. What you were going through was very traumatic. To someone who's living in the comic industry, this is something hard to go through. And I tell everybody out there, if you ever have a problem, talk to somebody. It's okay not to be okay. Just don't live there. If it's a life event, whether it's let friends, or your career, which are huge things, it's okay to talk about it. Just don't let that depression be your life.
Yeah, I think some advice I can give is just like have a very small circle of creator friends. So like over the years I've had like various groups, and I think I probably have like 3 or 4 really close comic book friends, like ride or die. Like they could say something really bad and I'm like, oh, but like ride or die. Like they could say something like really bad or do something really bad. I'd be like, oh, ride or die. But I think for having those like small groups of friends and who are like one of them's Larry Higgins, he does Niobe. We've been doing comics like 7 years. We even had a falling out where we weren't friends for 2 years and we were actively trying to kill each other online. But then we decided, okay, like what are we doing? We're friends. But then I had, my friend Nicholas Mueller, who does, the Ravens Loft, and, we're very close as well. And then same with like, Tim Lim of, Common America, so it's just like, you need a group of people that you can just go, yo, I'm a 10 out of 10 on Twitter right now. I'm a freaking 1 out of 10 right now. And I'm fucking
behind the scenes. It's like, I'm trying to pick up the pieces.
Exactly. Like I'm going live right now, but just know that like while I'm smiling on this live show, I'm freaking killing myself inside. And I think as long as, and then luckily I have a wife, and my wife, and is she's my woman. I can just go in there and go. She'll just look at me and she's like, uh-oh. And I'm like, ugh. He's like, Tyler's gonna cry. Tyler's ought to be a bitch. but yeah, I agree. If you're depressed, being creating can be depressing, and there's so many aspects of it. Maybe the story's not going the way you want. Maybe you're not getting the attention you want. Maybe you're not making the money that you want. There's just so many various factors that can cause you to be depressed. And I say, get a group of people, find your people, and be open about it. And if you want to be open about it in public, at least have a strategy for being open.
Right.
In public.
So the last thing I wanted to hit on is you. Is what do you have going on right now? Where can people get you? Where can they find you? What would you like to talk about?
Yeah, right now, I've got a Kickstarter for The Girl with the Mega Fist, volumes 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're just chilling. I think it's got like 8 days to go. I haven't checked on it in like 3 days, so I should probably do that. I probably should see where it's at. I don't know if I should be concerned or not, but yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. Just drawing that book currently, as well as about to fulfill my Sexy Witch Academia. My editor is going to get me the book probably tomorrow with the edits, and then I'll send it off to the printer, to the backers, and then my artist with Super Plumber Sisters is actively drawing that book. And then in October, we have the Cthulhu Murders, which I don't want to say unfortunately I'm drawing, but I am drawing that book too. And that one is an interactive comic where you, the reader, are actively trying to solve the crime, and you're going to have to go online, scan a QR code in the comic, go online, answer the questions so that you can turn the page. So that you what panel number, all the panels have like a little number on it. It's like, what panel number was it that gives you the clue on who killed the person? You have to put the panel number in online, and that's how you progress through the story by getting the questions right. So we'll see if it's like an idea that actually works or not. But that's how we're gonna end the year. So yeah, just drawing, making vids. You guys can find me at youtube.com/drawandtalk, where I've been vlogging every single freaking week.
Talk, yeah.
Yeah, just having a silly good time.
Awesome.
I appreciate you having me.
Hey, man, yeah, it's always great talking to you. If anyone ever needs advice, you should definitely look up Tyler Carpenter. He's great.
I'm not going to be nice about the advice. I'm going to be very mean.
He is a little rough sometimes, but it's great advice. I mean, it's amazing. Every penny of advice I spent on, well worth it.
Well, thanks.
Who are you?
I don't know who am I.
This is Dylan Moore. I'm Paul Gomez, 790. That's Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you need any help with comics, any advice whatsoever, look me up. Hit me up on Facebook most of the time. And like I always say, if you are having a depressed day, down, need somebody to talk to, send me a message. I don't mind any time of day. If I'm awake, I'll probably respond. If I'm not, asleep, then... good luck. Other than that, College Station, we're going to be there Saturday. We'll be there Friday, getting there and setting up. Yeah. College Station, Texas. It's going to be me and Sam Vera. We're going to have a great time selling books and making friends. That was Tyler Carpenter, Paul Gomez, Dylan Moore. Have a great week.
Wait a minute.